Ability is always in style. We're so glad you're with us today, and I've got a really special guest today, Dan Pessano from Good Company Players. Dan and I have known each other for an awful long time, both educators to start with. And Dan, we're going to get right into this because I know you got a tight schedule, and I'll tell you what, you did something really special for me when I auditioned for Good Company Players Second Space, 12 Angry Men in 1987. You made a real took a real chance, and you put me in a role as juror number 11.
Yeah. It was no chance. Larry, I'm so glad this is not television. We both remember that many years ago.
1987. Isn't that crazy?
It is. But I want your audience to know you were terrific.
Oh.
That's a wonderful play.
It is.
Kind of speaks to a lot of different situations. But it's a classic example of why you want to do theater.
Boy.
It's absolute teamwork.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody in the room's got their piece of the action, and if there's 2 seconds of silence, that's too long.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I remember being in the play, and let me tell you, folks, I don't know if you know, the reason Good Company Players and Second Space is at such a high professional level. And I wasn't quite prepared for it, but I was really glad I went through it. It was 6 weeks, 5 to 11, every day except Sunday, I believe, where we worked and practiced, and it became, second nature to us to be in that play. It was almost like we were living life, and the life we were living was the play.
Absolutely. Well, in that particular play, you're in the room. The whole idea with the jury is that they're in the room. So many times in shows, I think of some of the shows I've done where you're in the story. They call it, acting wise, they call it, you have an arc. You start here, you go through this, and you get that. And it's not unlike anything we actually face every day.
Amazing.
But they're not always your own words.
No.
But you have to make them your words or make some logical sense of what they say. Well,
and for folks out there listening, 1987 is when we did the play, and I was juror number 11, and juror number 11 had a slight Eastern European accent, was a new American, could not laugh at any of the jokes, and you put some stories and jokes and some lines in there, and I had to stay straight-faced the entire time.
I didn't put them in. Reginald Rose put them in, but you did terrific. Why don't you lay a little accent on them? Right
Boy.
now?
I'm from Eastern Europe, and I wanted to let you know.
You're from quite a bit of East right now. Yeah. Right now is the big news.
Yes.
That you are right on the border.
Boy, let me tell you. I was always better with an Irish accent, but,
Lay it on.
Yeah, I would do some Irish, but, it's interesting when you think about this. The amount of time I put into that taught me a really good lesson. As a county superintendent of schools,
yes,
you have to be an actor.
Absolutely.
You have to do things to inspire people. You have to do things to encourage one another. You have to do things that are just kind of sometimes outside your comfort zone a little bit. But I learned so much from them. And do you remember who the director was then? Mark Norwood.
Yeah.
Mark was fantastic. Loved working with him, and he was an educator in Reedley.
Yes, he taught school there. I'm proudest to say Mark was one of my students.
Oh, wow.
Mark went to school at the same time my wife went to school at Clovis High.
Wow.
And so I took triple excitement and enthusiasm, because part of what happens when you're old and you get to work with a lot of people is that they go on to spread the DNA.
Yes. Isn't that something?
It is something.
Now, you started in Clovis Unified.
Well,
or did you? Where did you start?
Yeah, actually, my first real gig, I had a short semester gig at Madera High all the way back in, and then my best break, I was at Roosevelt until 1969, 68. And then went to teach over on the coast at Hancock Community College for one semester. And in the meantime, Pete Mias, my dear friend and cohort and fellow from Roosevelt, actually. Went into Clovis, and we kind of bonded. So really from 70 on.
Clovis Unified.
Clovis Unified, yeah.
Pete was a great guy. He was a mentor of mine. I wrestled in high school and in college, and Pete followed my career from McLean High School when I was a sophomore wrestling. And who would ever have imagined that I would end up working with him as his deputy superintendent, and then ended up county superintendent of schools just like he had been.
Well, you did a monumental job. But, you remind me, Larry, of a story about the superintendent having to act. I was a good friend, so I could coach Pete sometimes in what he did. And Pete was a smiler.
Yes.
He would watch you and he'd kind of take it in, very Greek, very, and what I mean by that is, taking in the world. He was Zorba. He wanted to be Zorba.
Bigger than life.
And so as people would say things to him, he would kind of give you that smile. And I told him once, that smile can be dismissive. And you have to do a little acting. Sometimes it's better just to not show the teeth.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's little things like that that we all learn.
Yeah, he was really a good mentor to me, and he had a policy which was kind of interesting. You couldn't get into his office without an appointment, but I went into him and said, Pete, as your deputy, that doesn't work for me. Your door has to be open when I need to get in and see you. And so we developed a really good relationship, and it was quite different than what had been for a lot of other situations with him. And we spent a lot of time together and just talking about life and about a lot of different things. But what a great mentor he was. I miss him every day.
Me too.
Yeah, great guy. And, of course, I got to work with Armin Bacon, who is going to come into the show here, and we're going to talk about her writing and things. So,
oh, my goodness.
We've been around some good people.
Armin was another one of my students.
Oh, man.
I'm older than dirt, and she'll tell you stories. But, Pete loved the arts.
Yes.
Loved theater. And I can't emphasize enough right now how important it is for people to be an audience and be able to listen, and have kids get to be in an audience. And, and that I think our work right now in the shows that we're doing, under all of the protocols and the things that we need to do to keep each other safe and everybody safe, I think it's when they write the book and we sit down and look at those chapters of being heroic and getting the job done. I hope people will feel like they can be supportive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now. You need to give young people a platform.
No
to
doubt.
Perform.
No doubt.
That's what floats my boat.
Well, when I was principal at Kings Canyon Middle School in Fresno Unified, we had a wheel that kids took, and so they would take a quarter of certain classes. So they had 4 different classes. One of them was music and drama. And I wanted every kid in school to take a music and drama class.
Yeah.
Because I just know the confidence level that it gives you as you learn to perform in front of somebody. And they began to do better in math. They did better in all of their other classes as well. Absolutely.
And the criteria for being involved is that you can do the job.
Yes.
All of the other things that we tend to judge people by, especially now when it's so amplified, they kind of go away.
Yes.
You basically, I had a wonderful story. Audra McDonald was one of our alums and one of the most famous because she has the world record for Tony Awards.
Was it 6 Tonys or something like that?
Yeah, six Tonys, which would be like a Tom Brady kind of a career.
Oh, absolutely.
And so her first Tony was for a play called Carousel. And in a non-traditional way, she was cast as Mrs. Snow, and Mr. Snow was white.
Wow.
And she was on an interview in New York. And I got to hear it. And the guy said, "This must be really something for you to be in this non-traditional casting."
Yeah.
And Audra said, "Well, we've been doing that in Fresno for quite a while."
Oh, what a compliment.
Yeah.
What a compliment.
And, I mean, it tugs at my heart, but it's my example of what keeps the ball in play.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. She, at one time, she was the highest paid performer in America. I mean, she was phenomenal.
Where the hell was the check? I didn't know that.
I need to send her a note. You know?
Can she hear this show right now?
Yeah, really.
Audra,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Crying out loud.
She was amazing. I mean, and she's been in so many different venues.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Which is phenomenal talent.
Cross section, but she is who she is.
Yeah.
And that's the remarkable thing about most people. Most people in the arts are who they are.
Now, she started in junior company, correct?
Yeah. She was started as an alternate, worked her way through. But
I did read a line you said, "What were we thinking?"
Yeah, what were we thinking? All I've ever said, you shouldn't ever take credit. You can only be given credit. And we've had a lot of wonderful, thank you. I learned this and all of that.
Sure.
But with Audra, all I could ever say is I had the key to the rehearsal hall. I have some wonderful, specific moments with kids, not just Tony Award winning kids, where you see the moment that they believe they can do it.
Right.
That's a money
that
moment.
aha.
It is an aha moment. And you want a better one than that? It's when you watch their parents, watch their kids see that they can do it.
Yes.
That's what gets an old fart going.
Well, and this old grandpa here, Papa, has a daughter who was performing in Shrek at Bullard Talent.
I saw it. I saw the production.
Yeah, so she was the teen Fiona.
Okay.
And just very talented. And let me tell you her story. She was born in a toilet from a meth mother, and my daughter adopted her. And she has a great voice. She has a life that is so different as a result.
I know. I saw her because the Sanders girls are the other two Fionas.
Yes.
And so the Sanders girls, Dory Sanders is one of our
good
juniors. Dory
junior
had
company.
The longest running junior company kid, and she brought her kids to us.
Wow.
So
but that pride is just pretty amazing, when you see your grandkid up there, and and I got to show this. I've got a t-shirt over our sweatshirt. Good Company Players presents 12 Angry Men, June 19th to August 2nd, and I've still got that, part of my archive.
You get to wear it.
Yes.
If we'd have taken it away, we'd have said no. We put that out of your mind.
I got to tell you a great story about Fred Bologna.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you guys remember when you were doing? They call them Win Mariah, Paint Your Wagon,
that's Paint Your
and
Wagon.
all that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about auditioning for that because I sing and do some stuff that way.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. They do dance in that thing. And so Fred Bologna said, Larry, now my audience, just in case you don't know, I wear a brace on my right leg from polio, but he said, don't worry about that. He said, I'm going to put you behind a lamppost on your right side and your left leg's going to dance in this show.
Well, he must have been the choreographer because I was the director each time.
Yes.
I would have cast you. If the audience doesn't know how well you play the guitar and how well you sing, then you owe them that little moment. Yeah, cut the talk and start singing.
Well,
buddy.
It was so much fun because it just cracked me up, and I ended up timing. I wasn't able to put the kind of time in to even apply for the show, but to audition. But I love the humor of the guys that are involved with you that you've recruited that are a lot of times volunteers, and because that's a big part of what happens with Good Company.
Yeah.
How have you managed to keep it here for so many years? When did it start?
Well, we started in actually 1973.
That was in Hilton.
Summer theater at the Hilton.
Yeah.
There was a group of us that had just done a show at Fresno State. Funny thing happened on the way to the Forum.
Yes.
We were arrogant, stupid, and talented, and we just decided we could do something. And I had been teaching at Roosevelt, and I had been teaching the Pillabose kids at Roosevelt.
Oh, wow.
Steve Pillabose was the owner of the Hilton.
Yes.
And so it was one of those things where two dots intersected or something.
I love it. So
we've been doing it for a while. Guys and Dolls and Months on End and the things that are playing now, and Music Man coming up, and the Spelling Bee, and all of those things are our 49th season.
Amazing.
So I'm leaning in and hoping that you will give me a prayer to get to 50. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got at least try to get to 50.
Well, and there were 4 of you, I think, that started Good Company Players, and then you ended up connecting with Roger Rocca for a permanent place.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, when you're teaching school in those days, you have to have another part-time job. So my evening job was floor man at Channel 30.
Oh, I love it.
And that's where I met Raj when he was doing the news.
Yeah.
And I was not his best help. I'll just put it that way. But, we had a similar feeling for the arts, and Raj is a Cubs fan, and I'm a Giants fan, so we both knew pain.
Yes.
We understood disappointment.
Yeah.
And so 78 was when Roger Rocca's opened up, but he was in shows with us before then. But
that's 44 years.
Yeah.
Worth of time keeping a show, a theater of this quality in Fresno without tremendous resources to be able to do it.
It's dependent on the community, and if people are thinking about they don't want to come out now, if they would buy a gift certificate or whatever they would do, that's honestly what would be the saving grace. We've had wonderful support through the pandemic with people trying to keep us going, but I think it's maybe a little harder right now.
Yeah, it is really tough. Before we've got just a couple of minutes left with you because your time is really tight today.
I'm so sorry.
No problem. Listen,
I'm really enjoying myself.
Well, good.
Yeah, I'm enjoying you.
Well, it's great to be with you. I want to name a couple of people that have been in Good Company Players and the junior company. Chris Colfer.
Yeah, Chris, what a happy memory. He just came back and gave us the gift of emceeing a show for us. And the sidebar with that, his popularity is so good that we streamed the show, and we had people in Germany and Europe watching the show.
Is that right?
And we had a wonderful lady and sent a fan letter to Chris, but she sent us a contribution in German marks.
Is that right? Wow.
I guess. Do they still use marks?
I'm sure they do.
I got to cash
got
that.
the euros, but
euro. Yeah.
But every country still has their own. How about Jeff Seibert?
Yeah. Well, Jeff is probably had more Broadway time, or as much Broadway time as anybody else.
Wow.
And Jolene, his sister, and the family is still in Reedley.
Yes.
But he had movie time in Chicago and has done a lot of choreography. Just talking about someone who developed a total ability. He was so shy and quiet that he could dance his butt off.
That's amazing. Amazing. Clint Higham.
Well, Clint Higham. He is Kenny Chesney's manager.
Oh, wow.
Clint started in Guys and Dolls and a lot of shows. He's from Orange Cove, and he has been our main helper and supporter, and he checks in to make sure we're alive. But he's got a wonderful management team, and part of his management was the Mandrell family.
And he's out of Tennessee now.
Yeah, he's in Nashville.
Yeah. And then
notice how I said Nashville.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Christopher Gorham, Covert Affairs.
Yeah, Chris Gorham has had TV series after TV series and movie after movie.
Yeah.
And his birthday is the same as my daughter's, and so he always claimed that it was his birthday present, that she was born on August 14th.
I love it. I love it. Alicia O'Neill.
Alicia O'Neill opera, and just got a career and has had some just terrific and an incredible voice.
Yeah. Austria, Germany, Japan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. And then one of my all-time favorites is Heidi Blickenstaff.
Well, Heidi Blick, as I lovingly call her, just finished a run on Broadway in a replacement role, Alanis Morissette musical. And she stays in touch, and just a wonderful sidebar story. She did a show called Freaky Friday, and
Yes.
we were going to do it. And so they did a performance of it at Clovis West. And actually Buchanan, I better be right on this, Clovis West.
Okay.
So the girl who did it reminded me of her, And I called Heidi and I said, do me a favor. Will you just send her a text message?
Wow.
And it was so cute. And the girl sent Heidi back an audition tape.
Oh.
So you can't control both ends.
No, you can't. You can't. Well, and her father was the DA in town, Dale, and I was sitting watching her in performing Something Rotten in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And I texted him and got a hold of him and said, can I go backstage? He texted her. Yeah. I went backstage. We had a great time. A couple other quick names. We're going to let you go. Todd Decker.
Yeah, Todd Decker has written, I think, 3 books. He's professor
of music.
His family is still here. I see his dad. I see his dad and mom at the games.
Wow.
Baseball game.
Wow. And obviously, Audra McDonald, remarkable. If you go to your website, you can read about these folks, and you can also read about all the shows that you've got going. And I would encourage people, now that we've got a chance to get back into theater, masks have now changed, and you wear the mask there if you want when you're there. But get back to Roger Rocca Music Theater and Second Space, because, folks, let me tell you, you will not find better performances, more effort and energy put into it. So it is a show that is at a high professional level, and you'll walk out of there just going, I was just on Broadway.
Well, pretty close we're on with Sean. It's only one damn block away.
It's one block away. Well, Dan, I'll tell you what, this was really fun. Loved having you. I'll have to get you back, and we'll get a chance to chat some more.
Yeah. I'll bring my music.
Okay.
You bring your guitar.
Hey, we'll do a song or two.
Medley. Okay.
All right. Folks, thank you so much for joining us at Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. For this segment, you've been listening to Dan Pessano, Mr. Actor in Fresno. You've done so many parts, Dan. It's just a delight to be with you. Thanks for joining us.
Love you, man.
All right. Take care. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People.
He's done so much for Fresno and the musical scene and the arts scene and all of those kinds of things. It's just been an amazing ride. I can't believe he's in his 49th year doing stuff in Fresno, because a lot of times we end up with somebody starting something and it's just so hard financially to hang on. But Dan Pessano joined in with Roger Rocca. You got Roger Rocca's musical theater, and then you got Second Space, and boy, he has put together a troupe of people who have just done some wonderful things. But I loved my opportunity to be in 12 Angry Men, and a chance to play juror number 11, and just a chance to be an actor, and right here in my own hometown, and what a great time it was. I do want to share one interesting story from my time there. All of my buddies, you got to remember, second space is kind of in the round, or at least 3/4 of the round, and we were on a table in the middle of this whole thing for the stage, so you could see people all around you, and you had to ignore everybody because you couldn't be distracted. So you had to ignore everybody and just look at your fellow actors who were jurors number 1 through 12, and I'm number 11, and we're talking to each other, and we're trying to decide this case that was really an interesting case, 12 Angry Men. And I can remember some of my good buddies, including one Leonard Bacon, was sitting in the audience, and they were trying to distract me the whole time. So one of the things you learn to do is focus in a way that you don't get distracted no matter what's going on with your good friends out there as they come to, quote unquote, support you. But anyway, take a listen real quick again. Chris Colfer, Jeff Seibert, Clint Hingham, Christopher Gorham, Alicia O'Neill, who has done opera and done some really great things. You got to remember, Chris Gorham was in Covert Affairs. It was really one of my favorite shows for a long time. And he played a blind operative who was really, really talented with computers and doing a lot of things like that. But one of my all-time favorites was Heidi Blickenstaff. When she did Something Rotten on Broadway, it was just a great, great show. Had a great time with it. Todd Decker, who's a professor of music now. And then, of course, Audra McDonald, 6 Tony Awards. She blew the socks off of everything. She's performed all over the world, London, Berlin, Paris, you name it. She's been everywhere. What a talent she was, and she's from Fresno Unified, Roosevelt School of the Arts, where some really good things have happened. I wanted to tell Dan, he'll have to watch the show to hear this, but I was looking on Good Company Players at their website, and I noticed my name wasn't listed as one of the famous people. So it's kind of funny, but I didn't get a call back for 12 Angry Men when they reprised it in 2010. I'll have to talk to Dan about that. Of course, I didn't have time to do it. But anyway, if you want to do something for your kids, if you're a parent, grandparent, or something, find a way to get your kids involved in the school play and the school music, choir, drama, dance, music. All of those things just provide kids with a level of confidence as they go off into life in a way that is just remarkable. And I would just encourage you, obviously we know that math is important, science is important, history, all of those kinds of things, but you can't ignore the arts. The arts are so critical to what happens in a society. And one of the things I like about the arts so much is that when we talk about all the crazy issues that are going on in America right now with race issues and things like that, the arts are an amazing bridge. And I just would encourage you, get your kids involved in the arts, give them a chance to see what it's like. And I would encourage you to do something like that, because they will grow so immensely. You will be so proud to watch them, as Dan had mentioned. But I'm just encouraging you to think about that. I wanted to talk a little more about school and some of the things that are going on with schools right now. As you know, we just had a major recall election in San Francisco at San Francisco Unified, where the 7 board members were beginning to spend time on things other than those things that dealt directly with kids in helping them become successful in school. And 3 of their board members got recalled during this time. You think about this, the one place that the rubber really meets the road is when it comes to schools, and parents and just people in general. They want schools to be really, really solid, where kids get a really good education, because they're going to have to live life away from school, away from mom and dad. And the better educated they are, the more, success they're going to have in life. And I've got to tell you a little more about what was going on there in San Francisco. I believe that 7 board members would have been recalled if the rules had allowed them to put all 7 board members up for a recall election, because the vote for the 3 board members that got recalled was over 70% of the voting populace there voted them out. And let me read a couple of things to you. Mayor Breed will end up naming replacements with in 10 days of the election. It was reported by the San Francisco Chronicle. But here's what was said is that you have to have a school district that focuses on schools and not on a lot of the other issues. So you had a situation where the liberal San Francisco actually kicked out the woke far left board members because they were focusing on things that had very little to do with how a child learns in school. Silva Raj, who is a parent who helped with the recall, said this: "The city of San Francisco has risen up and said this is not acceptable to put our kids last." So the feeling was that the energy and effort was all going toward doing adult things in the school district and not doing things for kids. And boy, was there a backlash from that. It went on to say, Siva went on to say, talk is not going to educate our children. It's action. It's not about symbolic action. It's not about changing the name on a school. It's about helping kids inside the school, building reading and learning math. Boy, how powerful that is, and that's a word to the wise for, everyone that's involved in schools. The most important elected position, I think, in America is a school board member, because the most treasured resource each person has, each family has, that's their kids. And so it's really important that the people who fill board level jobs, school board members, realize that they need to focus on what happens in the classroom, not all of the adult stuff that's taking place outside of that. Here's another quote from there that I thought was really powerful and really important for us to remember. These are some parents talking, we face the hardest times of our lives, of the entire lives, as parents and as students in public schools, and this Board of Education, San Francisco Unified, focused on issues that weren't about dealing with the immediate crisis of the day, and they didn't show the leadership that was necessary and that parents needed to hear and that kids needed to hear. So the most important thing in schools, that's the kids, helping them become the successes that they have the potential to become, and not dealing with all of these trying to rename, in San Francisco in particular, 44 schools trying to change their names. Some of the names they wanted to change were George Washington Elementary School, Abraham Lincoln School, Dianne Feinstein School. So they ended up spending a lot of this time on the far left, the woke agenda, and they ended up ignoring the things that were happening in the classroom where the kids weren't getting what they needed to get. And you got to remember, during COVID, the tough challenge of trying to do homeschooling through a computer and Zoom or whatever mechanism they used, trying to teach kids and teachers not being trained to do distance learning that way. And what a crazy thing. Resources weren't available that needed to be available, and money yet was being spent on adult issues and not on children's issues. And so I would just encourage all of our folks in the Valley here, and especially in Fresno County, and we do have a lot of school board members that really understand and get it, that the job is taking care of the kids. Everything else is secondary. So just a word of encouragement to all of our board members. Keep the focus on the right thing, stay on the right thing, and, our kids will do well as a result. I do want to encourage people to keep in mind, too, this mask thing and all of the stuff that goes around that. Let's try to be a little more civil toward each other. Fortunately, California, for all of those who have been vaccinated, now no longer have to wear masks in most settings, although in doctors' offices, hospitals, there's still settings where they need to be worn. But as I said in the show yesterday, I wanted to remind people I didn't wear a mask in order to follow a rule or to protect myself. I wore a mask as a message to other people saying, I care about you, and I'm going to wear a mask so that you feel comfortable and that you feel taken care of. And I think if we'll get a little more of that kind of civility going, and a lot of my friends wore masks not because they wanted to wear a mask, but because they thought that the message was a good message to other people, that whether they're 100% effective or not, they're going to help take care of you, and I'm going to protect you in case I've got a cold or I've got COVID or I've got something going on. It's going to block some of it and give us a chance to be fully in society together again. Well, you know, folks, it's amazing how fast the time goes. I want to thank Dan Pessano from Good Company Players for joining us today and just a chance to hear him. I've invited him back, and he said he's going to come back and join us again because he's got a lot of stories about a lot of good things that have happened with Good Company Players in second space over the years. But, folks, just keep in mind, find a place for your kids to get involved, do something special with them. We're so glad you've joined us for Powell to the People, where civility is always in style, and we will see you next week.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
Thank you, Jose. Great job.